of Fox Network fame, and now he's got a monopoly on baseball, which is not good. Baseball history that involves dozens of players in endless, unexpected ways, including stars ranging from Matheson, DiMaggio, Greenberg, Feller, Robinson, Jackie Robinson, Jim Thorpe, the Native American, and of course Cal Ripken and Sammy Sosa. Some have been disgraced. DiMaggio, and of course today we'll be talking about the great left-handed pitcher from the Dodgers. We'll get to that in a minute here, and various other examining baseball's historic relationship with American foreign policy. Establishment raises a long list of provocative questions which we examine in the pages ahead. It was chosen as baseball's founder. What interrupted the 7-calories regular game of baseball in the Black Hills? They were there with Custer. What baseball executives was nearly court-martialed for kidnapping Kaiser Wilhelm? Which baseball player was purported as a peacemaker between the U.S. and Japan? And they'll talk also about the African-American League known as the Negro League, played ball at gunpoint for the Dominican dictator. What did the Mexican Revolution do? And the Washington Senators actually signed Fidel Castro. It would have changed many, many things. So we go on to what is happening in real time here. We have opening day and around the league. And then we'll hear some commentary from various ones. Here, well, wait a minute. We'll get to the Final Four in a second here. Brought up, sometimes you can bring it to the wrong screens. Nonetheless, the Cubbies were shining today, and we'll get to the Cubbies in a minute here. Cubbies, of course, our team. And we'll get this from the Sporting News. Sporting News, the backbone, unfortunately, has been sold to AOL. And this is an article by Chris Baer. The Sporting News, it is located in St. Louis. I guess it's still there. But nonetheless, AOL bought it and made it part of the Huffington Post. But opening day, I'll just read a little from the article, begin with the Houston Astros in first place. Well, they've been there before, and it wasn't an April Fool's joke. Clayton Kershaw, we'll talk about him and his resemblance, some say, to Sandy Koufax. Felix Herrera and Bruce Harper. And let's see, Colin Cargill, etc. here. And we'll just start reviewing some of the teams. In 13 innings, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Red Sox of Cincinnati. In the National League here, we just kind of see that's interleague, but you have that nowadays. Those of us in the National League, the pitcher pitches in the National League Park. In the American League, they play some other kind of ball. We won't mention it here because some groups may become unhappy. Nonetheless, the Los Angeles Dodgers played at San Francisco. They blanked the Giants 4-0. That was Mr. Clayton Kershaw there. Kershaw, did it all there for them. And the defending world champion Giants only got 4 hits out of the deal. The Nationals played in Florida. They used to be Florida Marlins. Now they're the Miami Marlins. Remember, there was a long debate. There was a rebellion in Miami. So they named the team, although it played at the old Orange Bowl, the Florida Marlins. Nonetheless, the Nationals of Washington, D.C. blanked them 2-0. In Atlanta, the Braves beat the Philadelphia Phillies 7-5. Freddie Freeman was there. And Justin Upman went deep against the Phillies. The Diamondbacks, 6, beat the Cardinals in St. Louis. Harry Carey used to work there. The fellow that sung "Take Me Out to the Baseball Park." Nonetheless, in New York, the Mets
Yeah, see, I just don't know them.
You know, actually in San Diego. The Mets beat the Padres 11-2. The Cubs, our great Cubbies, and finally won one. They usually do well in the first of the season. 3-1 over the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. And we'll hear from their starting ace by default, Jeff, well, I'll have to get his name later. The Brewers, 5 over the Rockies out in Denver, 10 innings there starting off. So that's the National League, the American League. Our Red Sox, 8 over the infamous Yankees. The White Sox won, blanked the Royals in Kansas City. I guess the president's happy here. The Tigers of Detroit roared and devoured the Twins 4-2 in an outdoor stadium. Interesting. On a cold, no doubt, April Fool's Day. Of course, it wasn't any joke, I guess, to the fans sitting there. Nonetheless, Mr. Fielder, Mr. Miguel Cabrera, they drove in home runs there. And actually, Prince Fielder had an RBI, but nonetheless, he showed flares of his father, Cecil Fielder. Nonetheless, the Mariners of Seattle, 2 over the Oakland A's in Oakland. I bet they were happy to be playing in Oakland, as probably many people would be. No doubt about that. Let's go back to the opening day, 2013. Mr. Kershaw there. Clayton Kershaw responded to questions comparing him. I'm just reading here from this article. His mound attitude to that of the Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax. He's impressed as the work during his career. He's 25 years old. He's in 150 starts already. I don't want to disrespect Sandy, said Kershaw, the current left-hand ace. He doesn't deserve that. He's the best left-hand pitcher ever, and so for everybody to compare us is disrespectful to him. Honestly, I'm honored by the comparison. No doubt he is. While old Kershaw has been dubbed as one of the Creator's appendages, liking him and Sandy on this day was apropos. During a spectacle of the pre-game ceremony, the Dodgers evidently brought out Koufax, a legitimate legend in this sport, to throw out the first pitch. That was on the opening day at Dodger Stadium. The place erupted as Koufax strolled out in his cream-colored Dodger jersey, jeans, and sneakers, and stepped up to the mound, bounced the pitch with his 77-year-old arm. About 150 minutes later, Kershaw appeared in the legend, stood in the same spot, and his 24-hour arm delivered 24-year-old, 74 pitches, and it resulted in a 4-0 victory over the San Francisco Giants in this remodeled stadium. Now, I was thinking they played actually. What the hell? I was thinking they actually played in Los Angeles. Okay, I'm getting them mixed up there with. I thought they played the Giants. They shut out the Giants. Okay, Monday in this opening. All right, so we must have misread something somewhere. But nonetheless, Sandy is awesome. Kershaw said, "I don't think of him as a historical person just because I get to be around him so much." In other words, he's still with the Dodger organization. That's Sandy Koufax. I know former Dodger member Joe Torres has made the comparison pretty early with Clinton. I'd be lying if I said it didn't flash through my mind there in about the 6th. Dodgers manager Don Mattingly, you remember Don Mattingly, played on Tommy Lasorda, said when they asked if Kershaw could be the next Koufax, this guy's rolling along and Sandy threw out the first pitch. It's probably not fair to Clayton to throw that on him right now, but for this day, with Koufax throwing out the first pitch, It makes you think about it. No doubt about that. So the ownership group there, that includes Magic Johnson, made a point to bring Sandy back to the Dodger family. He's been recently associated, of all things, with the New York Mets because of his friendship with the owner, that's Koufax. Koufax is now an advisor to Walter and is around the team doing spring practice, which is good. Koufax has a lot of baseball in him to remind these people of where they should be in the scheme of things. Let me just check something out here. I was looking at the lineup, and over at the National, wait a minute here. Okay, yeah. Oh, whoops. One of the things happens here is looking at the. Actually, I was looking at the. Well, no, wait a minute here. Okay. Yeah, they set their home teams up a little differently. Normally, the home team is the last team, but in this case, the home opener is in Los. Wait a minute here. No, that's the Angels had their home opener here, and the Dodgers, of course, came up, and it's a little bit confusing on why we dealing with the sporting news of all people. Nonetheless, let's go to the New York Times as we close up out here. The Final Four. And the Final Four is very interesting indeed in this, the strangest of college basketball season to make up the Final Four teams. This is from Gene Bishop in the New York Times. Go ahead and try and make some sense out of this. It is one National Player of the Year remaining. That's Mr. Burke of Michigan. There's one number one, Louisville. There's one old guard Big 8 team, Syracuse. And there's one outliner, the Wichita State Shockers. The Shockers, no doubt, have shocked everyone. And let's see. And we turn to February here to get a little history. Michigan went 3-for-4 in February, tumbled from the top ranking to 5th seed in the Big Ten tourney. Syracuse went from 4-4 that month and lost 3 games in March before the NCAA tourney. Wichita State lost 3 straight from January 29th to February 5th against Indiana State, Northern Iowa, and Southern Illinois. Not a powerhouse amongst them. Louisville, on the other hand, went 6-1 in February. Its only loss was to Notre Dame in 5 overtimes. That's one hell of a game. The Cardinals dismantled all challenges, capping the Big East tourney, speeding through the semifinals with 4 drubbings by an average of 22 points, but they didn't play anyone. And that was them. They overwhelmed Duke, no doubt about that. Old Coach K didn't have his best team out there. But Wichita State took out 2 seeds to win the West. Then regionals, the Zags, Gonzaga, and Ohio State. This is the Shockers' first Final Four appearance since 1965. None of the players were born then. President Obama, I believe, was 5 years old or whatever. The first time Missouri Valley Conference team has made a national semifinals since Indiana State, 1979, and Mr. Larry Bird. And he goes on to make the same point there. So, Mr. Burke will be around, best player to remain there, stage a comeback against Kansas with deep 3-pointers. Wichita State can also do that. Mostly for basketball friends expected the unpredictable outcomes. This season has unfolded that way. They expected the Florida Gulf Coast. We talked about those that kept attention of the nation. They should have expected Harvard, the bludgeon New Mexico. They should have expected LaSalle, the winner of the first 4 games early in the tournament, to advance to the semi-regionals. They should have expected Southern, number 16 seed, to challenge the Zags. Well, that wouldn't have happened. Thus, we present you the NCAA tournament champ, the Wichita State Shockers. So this is what his opinion is. what I will say is basically if the Shockers can get by the infamous Cardinals of St. Louis, where Denny Crum used to labor, they will win this thing. And I'll do